going? Okay. Merry Christmas, Grandma, Aunt Emma, Aunt Kay, and Christine, if you're still there by the time this tape gets to you. I'd meant to make a tape in the past 2 weeks while I've been home. Daddy's made two, but I really just haven't gotten around to it, being busy with other things when he's been making his. So I thought I'd sit down for a few minutes before Christmas Eve really gets started to make a little bit of one, and then I'll let Brian say hello, so at least you can hear his voice even if you haven't met him. I've had a marvelous 2 weeks here. It's been great to be home and out of hotels and restaurants for a little while, but actually 2 weeks is enough, and after Christmas he and I both, with Michael, will be antsy to get on our way again. Michael's coming in, flew in Icelandic and landed at Luxembourg today, and will be in 5:30, in about an hour and a half on the train, and then he'll have 3.5 weeks over here, so we'll probably leave Sunday or Monday at the very latest for parts unknown, maybe north to Berlin and Amsterdam, maybe south back to Spain. I have to be out before Tuesday when the mob from Rome comes back. Brian and I have had, as I said, a really relaxing 2 weeks here. We've spent most of our time reading up on Art Nouveau. We went to the library twice and got stacks and stacks of books out on prints and furniture and graphics and porcelain and china and so on and so forth, and have done a lot of antique shopping here and found a marvelous shop that has a lot of pieces dating from approximately 1890 to 1905. This is a very small period in art, but is very popular in the United States, and actually people are buying pieces on up to 1920, 1922, when it becomes something else. Grandma, you probably grew up with this and have lots of examples of it around the house. However, to us it's very exciting, and we're pleased to be able to find so many pieces here. It's kind of a swirly, romantic type, individualistic type of art, whether it's bronze statues, 3 or 4 of which we have bought, or painting, or today, for instance, we went downtown this morning and bought some pieces of porcelain, 2 trays and a gravy boat, made in 1900, that are just exquisite. They're beautiful. We're hoping to collect quite a few pieces and then bring them back to the United States and perhaps resell them. But each piece in itself is a beautiful piece of art, and of course it has been fun reading about it and learning about it and going around to look for it. We loved Spain. It was just fantastic. In fact, today the weather's been warm and sunny in the 60s, and as I said as we were walking through the park back from downtown, it reminded me of the weather in Palma or Barcelona. It must be just beautiful down there now, with all of the Christmas lights. For a month we watched the Spanish people string up these gorgeous lights across the streets in beautiful formations. Every single street was just lights, 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 lights all the way down the line. But we left on the 11th and the 12th, the 12 days before Christmas. The 12th they were turning them on, so we never saw them. And I talked to a gentleman at a party that Mother and Dad had here Friday night, who'd just come back from Madrid the day before, and he said it was just gorgeous when they turned all those lights on. And I can imagine, because I watched them for a month to put them up. Palma, the Balearic Islands, Palma, Mallorca, was great. Reminded me of the Greek islands. It was they were as beautiful and as unspoiled as Crete or Mykonos, or some of the places that I loved so much this past spring. The water was blue, it's unpolluted, the mountains are beautiful, and the Spanish people are fantastic. They're friendly. They're not like Italians, grabby, in terms of the men anyway. And they were great to us. They didn't speak much English, but I picked up a lot more French than I had ever had in college, and it's easy, to pantomime, and we picked up a little Spanish too. And we really had a good time. I wrote you several letters, I know, describing some of the things, but the food was just fantastic. The seafood and the big salads, and you could get like 7-course meal for $1.50, $2. And of course we were there in November, especially in Palma, which is kind of a resort town, and there just weren't that many tourists, and we go into these beautiful restaurants. designed from like a 16th century Spanish castle, and we'd be the only people, and we'd have like 10 waiters and 35 plates to our table. It was really neat. And the liqueurs and the wines were fantastic, and as I said, really cheap. And in fact, I have orders for almonds for Mother, and Tia Maria, and other liqueurs for Daddy, and so on and so forth when we go back to bring back to them. Spain's neat. I really do want to go back there. And we met some English and American kids in Barcelona, and really, the country makes sense if you want to settle someplace in Europe and you're on a budget. It does make sense to settle in Spain because it is inexpensive. You can live quite well there on nothing. In fact, coming back to Germany was really a shock because Germany seems very westernized, very New Yorky, and the Germans seem very tense and trussed up and, kind of stodgy compared to the Spanish people. Their whole country seems to kind of flow, while Germany always seems very abrupt, and I don't know, but it's kind of a feeling I've gotten in the last 2 weeks. We went to hear the Vienna Boys Choir the third or fourth night we were home. They were beautiful. I had never heard a boys' choral group, and they were delightful. They did a series of religious songs, and then a play, a little operetta, and then a series of Christmas carols in German. And they were very good. Brian and I really enjoyed them. And then last Sunday we went to see the Nutcracker Ballet at the Opera House. I wanted him to see the interior of the house itself. I had been once before this spring to hear Turandot, and it's very Baroque and ornate, and it's kind of, neat to see. So I wanted him to see that, and then also I enjoyed seeing the Nutcracker Ballet again. He hadn't seen it, and to me it's kind of a Christmas ballet, and to go see it at Christmas time kind of keeps you young because it reminds you of when you saw it when you were a little girl. And they did a fantastic production of it, especially in terms of scenery. They lifted things and had people come out of the floor and walk up the ceiling and all these just amazing things. It's really, really a phenomenal place. So that was a good thing to do too. But as I said before, we've been eating well and getting fat and gaining weight on Mother's, fantastic cooking, and eating Christmas cookies and candies and all of the different things that she had Russian food one night and Mexican food one night and Chinese food one night. And we're going to have roast beef and Yorkshire pudding for Christmas dinner, kind of an English dinner instead of turkey, since she had a turkey last week for a cocktail party. I think we're all kind of turkeyed out. No desire for that. And Daddy just went out and chopped wood for a fire. The only fire that he makes annually is, of course, Christmas Eve. And so Mother finally talked him into going over and borrowing the saw from the neighbors next door. And he sawed some wood for our annual fire, so we will have that too. The tree looks great. I must say so myself, since I decorated it with help from Mother, orders from across the room as to where the red ornaments should go versus the gold balls. But it is nice. Christine, you saw it. You decorated it last year. It's all those little gold balls and red German ornaments. Plus, Brian and I tacked on a box and a half of gold icicles and added one of Daddy's lewd, perverted wooden statues from the Philippines, which we tied with a black ribbon to the trunk of the tree, and he guards it. And rightly so. Nothing's happened to it since we put the statue in the branches, which just goes to show you that you should always have some kind of a fetish figure guarding your Christmas tree so that it will last much longer. It'll be good to see Michael. He's the first person of our age and our friends we've seen from the States for 4 months, and it's kind of like having a first frame of reference, because although we've written a lot of letters to people, we've been jumping around so much, we've rarely heard from anyone back there. Christine, you're one that could write a little more. I would really appreciate a letter from you. If you had gotten my letter from Palma and my one from here, write, when you get a chance, even from, Salt Lake or something, just write here, and they'll keep it for me. Brian and Michael and I, as I said, will be leaving probably Sunday or Monday for 3 weeks, but then he has to go back on January 18th to Washington, back to his job, because he just took 3 weeks vacation. But we'll probably be coming back here, so just right here, and Mother and Daddy will keep it. But anyway, it'll be interesting to hear what's going on in Washington. Not that we particularly want to go back, but it will be interesting to hear what people have been doing. We called the Rabondos a couple nights ago and got through fine and told them Merry Christmas. In fact, it was Wednesday night, and they were leaving Thursday to drive out to Washington to spend Christmas with Peggy and Bo, Brian's younger brother. His wife is pregnant. In fact, she's due any day now. And so maybe there'll be a Christmas surprise. I don't know. But anyway, the Rabondos were driving from Chicago out to Washington to spend Christmas with them and then driving back. I don't know whether our packages got to Salt Lake yet or to Washington. I know some have gotten there and some haven't. There's one package I sent to you all from here with things in it from Spain, which might arrive late. I'm sorry about that. I just really couldn't get things together down there to mail it. But Christine, of course, I guess you got all your stuff in Washington, and I hope you like the things I got at the flea market. If I'm back in Amsterdam in a few days with Michael and Brian, I'll pick you up a couple more things. And if I'm back in Barcelona and I go to their flea market, I'll really get you some stuff, because that flea market's just phenomenal. I mean, it's really, it's so neat. All the people sitting around and like really real gypsies, as some of the antique dealers say. And they have their stalls and they're just piled with stuff. I mean, you have to just crawl on top of all this old things. It's like the Paris flea market used to be, or the one in Athens. And when we were there, it was in December and it was late in the afternoon, and they were burning antiques, for fires to keep warm. It wasn't that cold, but they were throwing in chairs and things, and stuff is just spread out all over. It's much more flea markety than most of the flea markets must be today. Most of them have kind of gotten touristy, but this one in Barcelona was just really fantastic. So I have to go back there and bargain for some old pieces. And what else? Goodness, I can't really think of any news other than what we've been doing. As I said, in the last month we enjoyed Berlin and Amsterdam, and we really haven't seen that many cities, but we've got plenty of time and plan to stay at least until next fall. And if things work out with some antiques or something else, perhaps we'll make a trip back to the United States, but in the end have enough money or make a little money so we can stay over here longer. We really have no definite plans to come back yet. If we did come back, I think we would probably live on the West Coast, perhaps San Francisco, over any other place in the United States. But as I said, like our plans change from day to day. For instance, Michael coming in an hour and a half will perhaps change everything as to where we go, whether north or south or whatever. But it's kind of fun, and it's great to be able to just pack your suitcase and go. And as I travel more, my suitcase gets lighter and smaller. You find that there are a lot of things that you can do without, instead of having to carry them around. I feel much better, and I have gained weight. I had a glucose test in Amsterdam, and it came out approximately the same, but I have a lot more energy, and of course, some of that comes from, the doctors say, lots of sleep and food and fresh air and exercise, and Brad and I walk 3 or 4 hours a day, and I've been getting plenty of sleep and eating well, and I guess it just kind of paid off, because I do feel much better, and it would be impossible to do the kinds of things that we're doing, and we're really on the go all the time, except for when we do have to stay in Wiesbaden and kind of lounge around doing not much of anything. But it would have been impossible to do that if I hadn't felt better. And so in a few months, I guess I'll have another test or something. But anyway, I think things, are certainly on the improve. And as I said, I've gained some weight, and I really feel quite good. And so please don't worry. I wish I could, see you in person so that you wouldn't think of me the way I was that summer I came to see you, because I'm not nearly as nervous, and I think I probably look a little better and a little healthier than I did that summer, even without a tan, which is kind of faded. I really can't think of too much else, because, as I said, I have written you. In fact, I want to thank you again for your checks, and you probably will get my letters in a couple days telling you what I plan to do, but I will apply the money to a painting which I saw in Palma, It's a beautiful painting, as I wrote in the letter, done in 1922 by an Italian, Tamburini, very romantic, of two girls in kind of Grecian flowing robes off the shoulder with long brunette hair flowing, kind of running through a woods and fields thing. And it's beautifully done, and I fell in love with it, and really will be looking forward to getting it. We'll have to go down and pick it up. A dealer can't send it to us, so in a way it's kind of an excuse for another trip to Palma also. But it is a beautiful painting, and thank you very much, because your money enabled me to buy it, where otherwise I might have had to wait, and in that case it might not have been there when I went back. So once again, thank you. Have a really Merry Christmas, and I hope this evening goes as well for you as I'm sure it will for us. And tomorrow, Christmas dinner, the same. And I hope to talk to you on the phone. Mother and Daddy tried to call you last night, but they couldn't get through. I suppose the lines are going to be clogged for the next 48, 72 hours, quite heavily, with all the calls going back and forth and back and forth. But anyway, perhaps I will get a chance to talk to you in person and wish you a Merry Christmas. If not, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and have a wonderful holidays. I'm glad Christine's out there, and Christine, I'm sure that you're glad that you're out there, at least resting up from exams, and I hope you had a good time in Chicago with Julie's family. She sounds interesting. Needless to say, she must be a interesting person if you compared her to me and said that she compares favorably. I will write you, Aunt Kay, and Grandma, I'll write you again, and Christine, I'll write you, but you have to write me first. And I guess that's really about all. If I can think of something else, I'll just turn the tape right back on. That's all I can think of right now. But anyhow, my love to you all, and Mother and Daddy and Brian, and maybe I'll come back on and we'll certainly have some more to say on this tape before we send it to you. So goodbye until a little later. Oh yes, I guess I forgot one thing. I wanted to say that Brian and I are really happy about getting married. We've sent our papers into Basel, Switzerland, which only required 2 birth certificates and affidavits from the consulate in Frankfurt, which were easy to get. We went to Frankfurt for the day, and we just filled out some forms and had them signed and notarized. So Brian sent them all in with a letter requesting an appointment, and by the time we get back in the next 3 weeks, I think probably that they marry Americans on Tuesdays, and you have to go down Monday to fill out some forms. So the first Tuesday available when we're back in the next 3 weeks, we'll probably go down to Basel and have a civil ceremony, and then come back here and have something in the chapel here. Very quiet, just with Mother and Daddy. Very simple. And Chaplain Folgers, who's a friend of theirs, who's a Lutheran chaplain, said that he would be able to marry us after the civil ceremony in Switzerland. So that's what our plans are as far as that goes. And I hope you are as happy as Brian and I are, and of course Mother and Daddy are thrilled. And got a letter from Grandma, Mike, and Ruth, and they too are pleased with the news. And we told Rabondas on the phone 2 nights ago, and they were happy and pleased too. So I just thought I'd tell you the latest, and I'm sure that you will be kept up to date on our plans as far as that goes.
Well, here it is, Christmas Day. Pat's busy out in the kitchen. We're expecting our next door neighbors, the Martins, to come over in a few minutes and have a drink with us. And Cecilia and Brian and Michael, who arrived late last night, are down at the park walking around a little bit. We opened our gifts last night, or I must say probably early this morning is a better description. Had our real good cool dinner last night around 9:30, and sat around and talked, and then opened the gifts and tasted some wine, some liqueurs that the kids had brought, and we went to bed. I understand they stayed up and continued to talk until maybe 4 o'clock this morning, and had a good time talking about their old friends. We had a lovely Christmas and have last night, opening our gifts and remembering the fact that we'd received the letters from both of you, Mother and Aunt Emma, and also the little package from Kay. I like my gift very much, and of course I also like the one you gave Pat. Kay. I always have liked pretty nightgowns, but we just had a wonderful time. Pat, I think, has written you about the teacup that she bought, and in fact, she's using it tonight to have when we have these guests come over, the Martins. And that's a very nice item. I don't know where we'll put it when we get all of our things together, but it is a beautiful piece of furniture. Pat gave me some, Pat and Janila, in fact, went together, and I have 6 beautiful beer mugs, something that would be a credit to anybody. And, so I'm looking forward now to finding some occasion to serve beer. But and we have, without a doubt, some of the most beautiful crystal that we've accumulated since we've been over here. These beer mugs are almost a crystal, but they've got a lot of beautiful designs etched on them. They're not the standard beer mug that people think about when they come to Germany. I bought Pat a toy, which I'm enjoying, and of course I guess that's why I bought it. Some people buy their wives' shotguns, and the wives buy the husband's tablecloths. Well, I decided that I would buy a Polaroid camera for Pat. And I've taken 4 pictures with it today, and I'll include those in a letter, which I'll get off to you right away. One of them I don't dare include. In fact, Pat tore it up, so that took care of that one, and I won't tell you what it was. As I said, we had just a delightful evening. One of the things that made it so wonderful also was our call to Salt Lake City. It's amazing how easy it is on occasions to get a call through, and then on another time it's next to impossible. Pat had to dial about 4 times before she got the operator, and on this occasion it went right straight through to Salt Lake. Now the connection wasn't the best. We could hear you, but I don't think you could hear us too well. But it made our Christmas. Knowing that Christine was there, and knowing that you're well, and that you were enjoying her. She seemed to be so happy to be there. And I guess that's really and truly what Christmas is all about, isn't it? Comes right down to it, is being with people and your loved ones and understanding them. To indicate that I really had the Christmas spirit, I went so far as to build a fire in the fireplace, naturally, and this is really Christmas around here. In fact, Pat goes into a state of panic when I even agree to it. And it's a real occasion, and that's what it amounted to here over the weekend here. We had some logs when we moved into the house, and so I borrowed a saw from Bill Martin and cut these logs up so they'd fit in the fireplace, and we had the fire last night. And I have to admit that it makes a very pleasurable scene, but the work associated with getting it started and cleaning up afterwards, which I did this morning, kind of detracts from my viewpoint anyway, with regard to the building fires. I guess I could get used to it in time. We had a lovely fire in the fireplace, and I guess I've got enough wood for one more. This morning, Pat and I got up and had breakfast and cleaned up the house. The kids got up around, afternoon, actually, and fixed themselves some breakfast. And they've gone downtown now, and as I mentioned earlier, are out walking. I think they went down to the park. It's unseasonably warm here. It's been up to, in the mid-50s. And I just think of last year when Christine was here, and it was so darn cold, and I got so sick when we went to Paris on Christmas Day. And I think that if the weather had been as nice as it is today, how much more we would have enjoyed that trip. We'll get back there someday. It's just a matter of time. I note in the paper that you've had some rather cold weather and also considerable snow in that area in the last little while. Of course, that keeps the skiers happy, but I don't know what about those who are on the walks and trying to keep them clean. But since you're staying pretty close to home, why, I guess it doesn't make that much difference about the amount of snow, other than the fact it is miserable if you do have to get out in it. We have only, as I think I've mentioned, only one snowstorm here of any amount. And in fact, I think they have a team over here now trying to make it snow in certain areas because they need quite a bit of water. And even in this part of the world, they have the same old problem that we have for years out in the States or in the West. And that is getting an adequate amount of water to be in the watershed and have it for later on as the summer goes on. The Rhine River got the lowest it's been in almost 100 years this year because of just lack of water running into it. And of course, that's the most important or a most important way of transportation of bulk goods that they have here in Germany and in other parts of the world as well. I think it's one of the nice things, though. At least I don't have to get up in the morning and scrape off a lot of ice or frost off the car, and to me that's worth something too. I hate that part of it. So from a personal viewpoint, if it stayed just like it is, 3/4 of the year, I wouldn't mind that. We received some books, and Marge sent us Mia some books on story of Japan during World War II, and Cecilia and Brian gave us a book on Dürer, who is an artist, a German artist. In fact, Pat and I went down to see his collection in Nuremberg. I think I might have mentioned this earlier to you too. And it's a beautiful book, and more valuable now because we've seen his works. We had a funny thing happen here at the house today. Sandy Martin brought her turkey over to be cooked in our house, and since Pat wasn't going to use the oven for the early part of the day, and they put it in the oven, and turned the oven on, and somehow we don't know exactly when the oven was turned off. By whom, we don't know either. And so about 30 minutes ago, the Martins came over to get the turkey, thinking that it would be cooked, and only to find out that it was still anything but cooked. In fact, it was just barely warm, and there wasn't much we could say or do, so that's when they decided they better come over and have a drink with us while their turkey's in their own oven and cooking away. It could have been a disaster, but fortunately they're such good-natured and good people that they took it with a certain amount of kidding, and I guess that'll teach us all to be a little more alert to what's in the oven. Well, this is about all I can say right now. I'll try and get Pat in here to fill this side of the tape up, and again, we're so happy that our daughter was being able to spend her Christmas days with her. A few short days, I know that, but she was there with you. And I'm sorry that the box didn't arrive for Aunt Emma's gift. I can't imagine what happened to that. The box was mailed in early November, and I just assumed that it would be there. In fact, I thought it would be there long before Christmas, and I mailed that box almost a few days after I came back from my trip, after seeing you. So somewhere there, and it's filed up in the mails. And there's a lot of mail going both ways that seems to be lost. Just hope that it arrives in due time. If it doesn't, why, I'll start process the paperwork for recovering some money for it, and we'll send you something else. I can't think of any more to say right now, so again, thank you. You made our Christmas great, and we'll be in touch with another letter or another tape in a few days.
Hi, everybody. Well, Christmas is over, and we had a wonderful one, and we hope that you all did too. Celia and Brian left last night with their friend Michael Mills for Berlin in a few days. Well, actually, more than a few days. They'll probably be gone a week there and maybe another week. And then Michael will go back to the States, and they'll come back here and hopefully have their appointment arranged by then for their marriage down in Basel. So we're just waiting for word. They've sent in all the paperwork and so forth. So there's nothing further that they can do or that we can do until they hear. But we did have a lovely Christmas. It was a happy, relaxed, very nice one. We just did what we wanted. We let them have their own schedule and do what they wanted to do. Michael arrived on Christmas Eve. We didn't know quite when he'd come, so I planned just a cold supper, which we usually have anyway, and had it all ready in the fridge so I could just set it out on the buffet and we could serve it that way in a very simple way. And he finally got here about 9:30, so we had a drink and then a late supper, and then we opened our presents. And so Bud and I were up with the kids until about 2, and I think they stayed up about 2 more hours after that, or longer. And so we all just slept in Christmas morning and didn't worry about anything. Then Christmas Day, we just, again, stayed around and turned the lights on the Christmas tree and lit the candles and had a drink in the afternoon, asked our neighbors over for a drink with us, and they came over. The kids went off for a walk down in the park for a while because it was a kind of a foggy day and they wanted to take some pictures and get some different effects. Brian likes to take pictures and he's interested in photography. And I didn't cook a turkey that day because a week before, just exactly the week before Christmas, we'd had all of Bud's NCOs, that's his enlisted men, and their wives over for a party, and Brian and Celia were here, of course. And I had cooked a big turkey that night, along with some leftover ham from the previous party that I had, and a few other things. So we were eating turkey leftovers all week anyway, and up until really just a day or two before Christmas. And in fact, I even made turkey soup a couple days before Christmas. So Celia said, "Oh, for heaven's sake, I don't want another turkey. Let's have a roast of beef and Yorkshire pudding," and she thought they'd like that. So that's what we had yesterday, and it was very, very good. Nice 4-rib roast, and it turned out pretty well, and we all enjoyed it. So we had a good time, and the kids then left Sunday night, last night, for Berlin. As I say, on the late train. That is, we took them down about 9:15 to the station here, and they were going to transfer in Frankfurt, which is only about 20 minutes away, and then it's an all-night ride to Berlin. But they had a second-class sleeper, which has sort of bunk beds in with blankets and pillows, so they could stretch out and sleep. And they'd arrive in Berlin this morning about 7:30, and ready to take off and go sightseeing and so forth. We enjoyed their friend Michael. He's an awfully nice young man, very interesting, a psychologist at St. Elizabeth's Mental Hospital in Washington, D.C., has lots of long hair, like so many of the young people, but he's a good-looking young chap and very personable, and was a charming guest. Couldn't have been nicer all the way around. And we'd like to see him again. He's very, very fine. Don't know any other news except that we did, as I say, have a lovely Christmas. Celia and Brian gave us some beautiful wooden brandy glasses from Spain that they had picked up that were most interesting, made of olive wood. And then they had bought a beautiful art book in Berlin for us on the German painter and engraver Dürer, who is very famous over here in Germany, and she knew that both Bud and I had been interested in his work because we'd been to Nuremberg to see a special exhibit of his work earlier this year. So they found a beautiful big coffee table-like art book that they gave us, and a bottle of special Spanish liqueur that they thought was marvelous. We don't think it's so hot, but they do, from Spain, that they brought for Bud. So we all had a drink of that, and we told him we thought it was great, but it's kind of sweet and strong, but they liked it. They thought he would too, so we have that too. And what else? Well, Bud bought me a Polaroid camera. I think he bought it for himself, really, but he gave it to me anyway. It had my name on it. I haven't as yet figured out how to work it, but he's been taking pictures like mad, so he's had a lot of fun with it. It's sort of like this family story of how my Uncle Don bought Aunt Marge a shotgun years ago when he was wanting to have a new shotgun, so he bought it for her, so she went out and bought him a lace tablecloth. So Bud bought me a Polaroid camera. And Julia Child's French school cookbook, which I was very pleased to get, although it's volume 2, and now I have to have volume 1 in order to do all the things that it says to do in volume 2. And let's see what else. Well, our lovely tea cart, which he's taken pictures of and he's going to send you, and after I got it, I was even more pleased than before I went to get it. And, of course, that's what we used your money for. And so thank you very, very much again, all of you, because it's a beautiful piece of furniture, and I know we're going to love having it. I've already used it. I used it Christmas Day for liqueurs and for some cheese and shrimp and olives and things to have while we had a drink, and then I used it Sunday also for the same thing, and I think I'll probably use it every time I entertain because it really is going to be convenient, and it's also very, very lovely. It's all in gold, and it's kind of a French style, even though it's the Florentine wood painted in gold and decorated. It's very, very attractive. On wheels, you can just push it easily any place in the house, and I think it'll be lovely to push into the living room with glasses on or drinks on, or later coffee and dessert on, whatever, just anything you want to serve. And it's also nice to put next to the table when Bud is carving, because he can put the potatoes and the vegetable and so forth on the tea cart beside him, and then has a little more room at the table so he can put the meat in front of him and carve. We really need the extra space, and this will just work out very, very well. And of course, it's so pretty that it fits in any place. Well, that's about it. We had a young bachelor over for dinner tonight, whose wife had to go back to the States for Christmas because her father was sick. So we had him. He'd already had an invitation for Christmas dinner. We'd have had him then, but we've had him tonight for dinner, and now it's very late. We just finished the dishes. He just went home, and I'm going to tidy up a little bit because Mother and Mike and Ruth and the 2 babies arrive tomorrow. So there are not many days of relaxation this holiday at all. We have been busy getting baby furniture because of Sarah. She's now 8 months old and almost ready to crawl, so I've borrowed a playpen, and then we went to the family service organization here and got a crib and a high chair and a stroller, which I was down scrubbing yesterday afternoon, so they're all nice and clean for her, and we're all ready. I don't know whether we're ready for Matthew, but we're ready for her anyway. I don't think we can be ready for Matthew. I guess Christine left today to come on back to Washington. We both are sorry she didn't stay longer. I guess she had coordination to make with her ride back or whatever. I don't know. You probably know more about it than we do because we haven't really heard. All we know is that you said, or Kay said, that she was leaving Monday. And I don't think her school starts for quite a while yet, so I don't quite know what the story is. But I'm just glad she was there. We're awfully glad. We're just so thrilled that she was there. We missed her terribly. It was her first Christmas away from us, and of course we wished she were here, but we were awfully glad she was there too, and we know that it meant a lot to you all. We're just sick that Aunt Emma's box didn't arrive. It was sent before any of your boxes. It was sent at least the 1st of November. It may have been the very end of October. And because we bought it at the big bazaar that was given. No, actually we didn't. We got it at the same time as the bazaar, but it was the end of September that we bought it. So it should have been there. And so we're going to check on the insurance immediately, and if it doesn't come right away within the next week or 2, let us know. If it does come, of course, let us know. Because if not, we have the insurance receipt for the sending of it, and we'll start paperwork on that because it was sent. I might as well tell you what it was. It's a bouquet of yellow roses, which we thought you'd all enjoy. Actually, it's a kind of present to all of you, I guess, for the living room. But I have one just like it. I like mine so well that we decided to get one for you all because we thought you'd like it. And it's a lovely yellow coloring and so forth. And so that's what it was. And we sent Mother the fruit of the month, mainly because we just couldn't think of anything else to send. I know she said not to send it again, but that's something you can eat and enjoy, and I know you must realize it is hard to think of what we can send, and so we thought we'd send that and then try to send little things from time to time. I bought some more of the nice dietetic chocolates and things today. I happened to be downtown in a store and found some, so I got some of those, and Bud has them wrapped tonight, and he'll get them off in the next day or so. And I'm glad Kay's box got there. We certainly wanted it to. I hope Christine got all of her gifts. We aren't sure she did. She wrote us and said she'd opened her presents, but she didn't say what she had, and we sent a couple of boxes, so I don't know whether they all got there or not. I'm still waiting. I'm now waiting for the next letter. It's very exciting. We did get a letter today from her that she wrote before she got to Salt Lake, and she still hadn't gotten our letters telling about Celia and Brian's plans, so I don't know whether she heard about them before she got to Salt Lake or whether she got there and you all told her or what happened. But anyway, she knew when we talked to her. But Celia had wanted to tell her herself, and so I had purposely not said anything in my letters until after Celia had written so that she'd hear it all from Celia because she wanted it to be that way. And so it got goofed up, but anyway, it doesn't matter. She was thrilled, and that's what we were hoping for. Weren't quite sure, but we were hoping for it. And, well, I talked to Mother and Mike yesterday, no, Christmas Day, and they'd had a nice Christmas down there, and the weather was mild there, as it was here. Incidentally, it was in the high 50s, low 60s here for Christmas. Not a bit of cold at all, a little foggy, and it was dark and dingy, of course, but it was very mild. I wish it had been that nice last year when Christine was over here, because we froze to death last year, and it would have been so much better if it had been like